Now let's jump into analysis mode. So I've drawn out a timeline of everything that happened in that solve, and the idea is to draw a new timeline with what we think it could be. So the first thing we look into is the cross. Looks like it took me, over here you can see it took me a little over 5 seconds to do the cross. So let's talk about what we can do differently there. So the first aspect is number of moves. It is well known in the Rubiks Cube community that you can solve any cross in 8 moves or less. It took me 10 moves. So one aspect is I can reduce number of moves it takes me, but the bigger deal is I should really be able to take a better advantage of the inspection time. And during that inspection time, I should be able to find the 8 moves and just do them, like just as fast as my fingers can move them. I shouldn't have to be thinking during the cross at all. Whereas here, if you look during those first 5 seconds, I was actually looking and thinking a bit. So I should be able to just figure out the 8 moves and do them. So I'm going to say my goal will be to do that in a little over 2 seconds. The next item we'll talk about is F2L. F2L stands for first 2 layers. And if we look at the time from when we solved the cross over here to when we got a third pair over here, that's like what, about 11 seconds or so. So that's what we want to reduce. So just like with the cross, one we can look at is with moves. In the case of the pairs, almost all of them can be solved in 8 moves or less. In my case, it took me 10, 8, and 12 moves. And when I've been practicing on my own, I get usually between 8 and 10 moves. I think 12 was a little bit of an anomaly there, because if you look at the video, I kind of messed up a bit, moving the layer the wrong way a few times. So that's one way you can look at it. The other way you can get better at F2L is a learning technique called look ahead. And the idea there is while you're doing one of your crosses, like while I'm doing this first pair, I can be thinking about how to do this second pair. So that actually removes any time that you are between pairs thinking about what to do. In my case, I had quite a bit of time here in the beginning where I was kind of paused and thinking. I didn't have too many pauses throughout the rest of it, but that's, I think, an anomaly. Like using look ahead, I should be able to consistently avoid pausing and thinking about my moves too much. And the way you achieve look ahead, and also some other things, and this is a general trend throughout improvement in anything speed related, is to do slow solves. So the idea of slow solves is to take your time when you're doing it. Take the time to do it right rather than as fast as you can, and that includes number one, really thinking about whether doing it in the fewest moves possible, and also getting better at look ahead by trying to ensure that you minimize the number of pauses. Rather than do things fast and stop a lot, you should try and do things at a consistent speed the whole way through. Now let's think about what the potential improvement could be. So for this particular solve, the first pair took 4 seconds or so, and the other 2 took a little over 3 seconds. I don't think I can expect much more than that from using look ahead, because for this particular solve, the pauses weren't too drastic. I'll get a little bit from the if I get my moves, if I manage to solve it in fewer moves though. So let's say that if we say that I can take a solve time for a pair from 3 seconds down to 2.5 seconds, and then assuming we have 4 pairs, unlike this case we only had 3, then we can aim to get F2L in 10 seconds. Now, last but not least, let's look at the third layer. Alright, so the time from getting pair 3 over the time where over to the time where we solved it over here is about, what is that? Also about like 11 seconds or so. So let me talk about, first off, the naming here. So the way I do this is, the algorithms I use are called Tulip OOL and Tulip PLL. So OLL stands for orient last layer, and the process of orienting is making them all face the right direction. So, and I do that in 2 steps, so hence Tulip OLL. And so OLL is just to make all the white pieces face up. PLL stands for permute last layer. So once I get all the white facing the right direction, as in here, then I still need to order the pieces. So that is for PLL. And again, I do this in 2 steps, so it's called Tulip PLL. Let's look at the number of algorithms I need to memorize. So for Tulip OLL, the first look requires me to memorize 3 algorithms, and the second look requires me to memorize 7 algorithms. Moving on, Tulip PLL, for the first one, I just memorized 1 algorithm, and for the second one, I have to memorize 4. Okay, so there is another technique called full OLL and full PLL. It's where instead of doing 2-look, you memorize all the combinations of algorithms, and you just do the whole thing in one step. So for the 2-look techniques, you look, do the first algorithm, look again, do the second algorithm. And for the full OLL and PLL, you could just look, do the algorithm, move on. So for full OLL, I need to memorize 57 algorithms. And for full PLL, you need to memorize 21 algorithms. So yeah, that sounds like quite a bit. However, one good side is that the algorithms I learned for 2-look are actually also valid algorithms for the full version. So I can subtract those. So it's actually only 47 OLL and 16 PLL. When I was planning this out, I thought this would be a cool wow moment to show, oh wow, it's not so bad, but it's still pretty bad. This is going to be rough learning these algorithms, but it'll make my time a lot better. So let's think about how this would affect the time. So if we look at the 2-look OLL stage, like the first one took me 2 seconds and the second one took me 2 seconds. Let's say the 2 seconds to do each of the algorithms, was half a second was recognition and 1.5 seconds was actually performing the algorithm. Let's say that we can do the observation or the recognition in 1 second for the full version, because it's a little hard to do the recognition on these and some more options. And we'll say that in order to execute it, instead of 1.5, we'll say 2 seconds, since the algorithm is a little bit longer. So that'll give me like 3 seconds for OLL. And if we talk about PLL, I think we can run through a similar logic. I'm not sure why it's so much longer, but I'm just gonna kind of hand wave and make it the same, it's about a second longer. So we'll say 4 seconds for that. Just as a side note, I don't think this is realistic in 1 month. Maybe I can memorize all of PLL, but I don't think I can memorize all of OLL in 1 month. That's a lot for 1 month. Next, let's move on and get the answer you've all been waiting for. If we combine all these optimizations, what will our solve time be? 28 or 27 something is what we started with, but what will it become if we do all this? So I'm going to zoom out, look at it from a high level, and I'm just going to add up all these predictions we made. So there we go. If we do all this and we practice hard, we should be able to do it in 19.5 seconds. So pretty cool. So this was just the pre-challenge video. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be making a couple more videos, and then we'll see how I do along the way. Hopefully we see some good improvement.